Let's talk about why you overthink things. All right. So, as humans, we get to catch ourselves often, overthinking and wondering if we can do something or not do something, how the outcome of a thing would go, and if there is a possibility to even avoid doing that thing entirely or to avoid the event from happening entirely. All right. So maybe you want to go for an interview and you just realize that, well, that interview as it stands is a necessary evil. And so you have no option, but you just wish, some other person would go for that interview for you. Right? Yes. Well, the thing is, some things are just inevitable. There's nothing you can do about them but to just face the demon or face your demons, as it were, face your fear. Now, the truth about overthinking is that it has an underlying fear underneath it. So, it is fear that triggers your overthinking attitude. So, are you alone on this? No. Everybody has that tendency of overthinking things, except you intentionally work towards not overthinking. So I would give instances here. You find out that most times you just have these things that you fear, and you do not want to make mistakes, or you ponder about or you ponder upon the circumstances around, and you wonder if you would ever be able to manage the situation at hand, considering that, well, in our time now, things seem to be hard in the country Nigeria. It seems like, well, things are not going as planned, as it were. And you may tend to overthink your future, the future of your children, how you'll be able to raise them, and the plans that you have made all together over time. Well, while you overthink, I would blame the mind to that overthinking and fear as well. You cannot really control the mind, just like you may want to shut your eyes to sleep, right? You may not stop the mind from thinking. And it is said that it is also the mind that continues to give us the display of dreams that we have, right? It plays back whatever must have happened during the day and every other thing mixed up together, aside from visions and revelations, as the case may be. So, how do you avoid overthinking? Number one, when you catch yourself overthinking, ask yourself, what is the trigger? What's bringing the thought? If you are able to identify what exactly is making you overthink, you ask yourself, do you have a control over what you're thinking about? If you have control over it, then you remind yourself that, okay, in the morning I'd have to wake up at this time, and this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do, but to see that I put this thought or this fear in check. If you have no control over what you are overthinking about, ensure that you remind yourself that what would be, right? What would be. So that should enable you know how to calm down. Another thing is ensure that you put up the attitude of trust in yourself or hope in yourself, to know what to do, when to do, and how to do. And putting trust in yourself is your ability to place the two odds. So if the outcome is in the positive, what would your attitude be? If the outcome is in the negative, what would your attitude be? If you are able to ready yourself to react, whether it be positive or negative, you'll be ready to face the situation as it were. So rather than overthink, get yourself ready for whatever situation that comes your way. Be it in the positive, you are ready for that circumstance. Be it in the negative as well, you get yourself ready for that circumstance, right? Now, another thing you can do to stop overthinking is ensuring that you share with someone. So sometimes we bottle up so much, and the weight is keeps weighing us down, right? But your ability to share that problem with someone may even make you view the situation from the angle of the person you have shared with and see that, well, it is not as huge as you thought it to be after all, right? And the person, the trusted person you are sharing it with, would actually bear half of the burden. It is said that, well, a problem shared is 50% solved, right? So when you share a problem, even if the person doesn't have a solution to it, you just feel some ease at the end of the day. Also, rather than overthink, remember, let's go back. Remember to identify what's making you think. Number two, ensure that you ask yourself questions. Tell your mind that, well, what would be would be. Number three, get yourself ready for whatever outcome. If it is in the positive, what would you do next? If it is in the negative, how would you act next? Would the outcome of that situation break you or end your life? Or would the action or would the situation rather give you reason to take another action, which I would term a plan B action? Getting ready in this regard is what will make you um, a strong man, right? A ready man and a winner at the end of the day. But if you are always taken unawares by events, then you would regard yourself as a failure. But I would not want you to do that, right? So get yourself ready and know that what would be would be. Whenever your mind strays, ensure that you bring your mind back and tell it, look here, let's go over this thing again. And then I had also mentioned that you talk to someone about that situation, and you will see that it is not as heavy or as difficult as you had thought it to be before. Do not forget, after the removal of fuel subsidy, there were people who, in fact, there was a handful of people, there were a handful of people who had, I have heard, or I had heard, committed suicide or did some drastic things because they thought they would not be able to survive the times, right? So rather than give up, please ensure that you stay alive, because after that removal, there are people who are still surviving. No matter how tough the situation may be, at the end of the day, there are people who would still survive. Okay, so your mind is what will control who you are and what outcomes you get at the end of the day. Stop overthinking, put up a positive attitude, and get ready for the inevitable.